There's a new frontier in war. The era of conflict in low-orbit space and above is upon us. Leading the way at hypersonic speed, China. Beijing chose its parade celebrating 70 years of communist rule to unveil the Dongfeng 17. It's a hypersonic missile capable of accelerating to at least 5 times the speed of sound, possibly up to Mach 10. It has a range of about 2,000 kilometers, can approach its target at a relatively low altitude, and it can get past the USA's missile defense system. There are 2 types of hypersonic missiles. They're changing the balance of power and how wars may be fought. A conventional intercontinental ballistic missile travels more slowly above the atmosphere in an arc, allowing early detection of its target. But the new short-range hypersonic cruise missiles travel at a much lower altitude and at much faster speeds. The other long-range model operates in 2 stages. What's called a glide vehicle carries a group of hypersonic missiles to high altitude, then releases them. Both types of missile are said to be able to make sharp turns and change altitude. That, and their speed, mean they can get past any current missile defense system. Like the Chinese, the Russians are ahead of the game. When President Putin declared that Moscow was developing what he called invincible weapons, some thought it a bluff. Now it's building 60 glide vehicles, calling them the avant-garde, and claims that the missiles will reach Mach 27. Both countries envisage deploying nuclear warheads on some of their hypersonic missiles. The Pentagon has admitted the USA cannot defend against these new weapons, nor does it have its own, although there are prototypes for ones to carry conventional warheads. This situation, this new frontier, is why in August President Trump announced a new wing of the American military, Space Command.
We're gathered here in the Rose Garden to establish the United States Space Command. It's a big deal.
Next year's US defense budget includes $2.6 billion for hypersonic research. Some will be for attack purposes, but a lot will go on defense, which is where space comes in. The 3 major powers in this new arms race already use military satellites for monitoring and communication, and part of the hypersonic missile systems use satellites. So, if you can knock out the satellites, you can blind the enemy. Also, the American view is that they will need to build a layer of satellites in lower orbits to track hypersonic missiles. Laser-armed satellites are also envisaged as part of a missile shield to destroy the hypersonic missiles in the atmosphere. This is not a minor change in modern warfare. It's a new type of war in a new place. Control of low Earth orbit and near space will become seen as necessary as control of the land and sea.